Yeah, thanks, MJ, and glad to have us on the show. So this is a very popular question, and a lot of people say that the vaccines are rushed because the normal time that is quoted for vaccines to be developed is maybe about 10 years. In reality, a lot of these 10 years or very long period is spent in a very boring way while waiting for permissions and so on to be given. So there are three main long waiting periods time that most of these vaccine developments encounter. The first is waiting for money. They need to get money to run their programs, collect patients and so on, and do the development of the vaccine. The second thing that also takes them a long time is to wait for results to come out and then do the analysis and then go back and set up another phase of the test. So that takes a lot of time as well. And then lastly, they have to submit their results to the regulators. For example, in Singapore, it would be like the HSA, or in the US, it would be FDA. And the approval process can also take quite a long time because these regulatory agencies are also reviewing other things as well. So I must say that a lot of this time is spent waiting. And what happened during the COVID is that all these boring bits of waiting time has been taken away magically. Okay, so there's been money given to the vaccine producers. Many of these vaccines, such as the mRNA, have actually been in development for more than 10 years. So the technology is actually quite mature. So they were immediately able to make the vaccine. People were signing up very rapidly. So the trials were going on one stage after another stage in a very closely knitted way. And finally, the regulators were also very prompt at approving the process. So if you look at all these processes together, none of them have been encountering any kind of shortcut or any kind of rush approvals. They went through the normal process. In Singapore, for example, the HSA applied as stringent a sort of a selection process as they would with anything. So that explains why the impression is that the time has been shortened greatly. But essentially, it's just that all the boring bits have been all taken out. And I think that's really good for us because since it's a global emergency, everybody do their part. And we were able then to come up with a vaccine in a much faster time.
Thank you, Prof. Ren. So one analogy of it will be, imagine you're trying to get from the east of Singapore to the west of Singapore. If you're going to take public transport, it will take a really, really long time due to waiting time, MRT, bus. But now there's a helicopter. But you still get from point A to point B. So yes, that's the whole idea of it. Yes. Thank you, Prof. Ren. And next, so I found some really interesting comments on Facebook mainly. So which variant turn you to a giant human muscle? Is this the vaccine that modifies humans' DNA? Will you be positive after you take the vaccine?
Yeah, those are very, I would say very imaginative questions. There are some even more imaginative than that. So if there's a vaccine that can build muscles, I'll be the first one to take it. So I would gladly do that. So if you were to say I have something which is called A and something which is called B, and they both have some sort of factual support, and a lot of people think about A, but you happen to be the one who is a contra, and you think about B, and you say, I believe the facts in B are correct, so I'm skeptical. So eventually you might be the one proven correct, and then all the A look rather stupid, right? So that kind of skepticism helps us to build a better kind of a quality understanding of everything. In this case, if I were to say mRNA vaccine is safe, which is A, and then B is that mRNA turns you into a zombie, modifies your DNA and turns you into a chicken breast, a flesh of meat, right? So the question is, where do you get the evidence if you're to take the side of B, right? So if you want to be skeptical, then one has also then to layer that with some degree of common sense.
The next question, what's the difference between the Pfizer vaccine and other brands?
So the Pfizer vaccine is something that has been in development for, I would say, more than 10 years. It is something that has been tried on a very small number of diseases such as influenza and so on, but it hasn't been tried on COVID yet. So the mRNA vaccine is something that encompasses a very tiny fragment of the virus, so not the whole virus is being used. This tiny fragment of mRNA is very fragile and it can be destroyed very easily in the body. So in order to do that, it has to be packaged in a bit of a lipid particle, which will then protect it as it enters into the body for inducing an immune response. So unlike some of the other more conventional vaccines like inactivated vaccines, mRNA is quite new, but after being injected into coming to 40 million people by now, it has proven to be very safe. In fact, many countries that have mass vaccinated their population in the last just 1 month have seen a very dramatic reduction in the number of serious cases, and even the fatalities or death have dropped very rapidly. So although the Pfizer vaccine is something which is very new, and it is different from the classical traditional kind of vaccines like inactivated vaccines, it has proven itself to work very, very well. So this is the one that has been selected by Singapore. Moderna is also a similar vaccine that has just landed last week. And I think that a lot of the people will certainly benefit by being vaccinated by these two very good vaccines.